All right, everybody, welcome back to Press Pass with Chris. I am Chris Aguirre. Joining me today, I am honored to have Chris Milton, aka Father of Ballers, on Twitter. Go follow him; he's a great follow. So, Chris, I appreciate you joining me today.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
No
Humbled to be
problem.
here.
No problem. On July 1st, the NCAA finally allowed student athletes to be able to make money, off their likeness, off their image. Your son, Kendall Milton, who was a standout athlete at Buchanan High School, plays for the University of Georgia now, is going to be starting his sophomore season in the fall. He launched the KM2 brand. So, can you just talk a little bit about the KM2 brand and what it is?
The KM2 brand, obviously, Kendall Milton is number two. Um, what that is intended to do is springboard him into what he ultimately wants to do, which is to create, I guess you would say, a corporation or a larger business. Um, what by having the NIL, what it allowed him to do was to create the brand, to introduce the brand, to go through the legal process to make it a true business entity, and start off with merchandise. And so that's what he's selling. He has his own store online where he's selling his own merchandise. But also, as companies and businesses come to him and want to create a partnership, as they've done thus far, they're creating it, yes, with Kendall Milton, but also with his. So what this is enabled him to do, he's a business major, so it allowed him to start his career a little earlier.
Great, great. And what was the process like for you? Being a parent of a student athlete in Kendall, and I know your older son played at Fresno State. In previous years, he's graduated now. But just what was it like as a parent? Going through this whole process with the NIL. Being adopted now.
So, to be completely honest, and I say this humbly, it wasn't that rigorous. Getting the business started, getting the IRS situations going, getting the LLC going, setting up trademarks. So we knew how to do that. I think the biggest thing was figuring out who to align yourself with, because to build the brand, you're going to have your manufacturer or distribution point. So who can you trust to be on this journey with you, especially at this level? Also, if we're looking at more global type marketing and opportunities, you likely need a marketing rep, right? So looking at who can we bring aboard now, what agency can we bring aboard now to stay in that lane. So I think that was the more rigorous part, doing the weeding out of who we wanted to be on the team. But creating the product, I guess you would say, that was fairly easy. But I think the other side of it was learning the parameters, right? Learning the rules, learning what you could and could not do, and truly understanding that. That I think that was probably one of the not difficult but more tedious part, just to make sure there was a clear understanding. The worst thing that could happen is he could be ineligible, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and then for Kendall himself, when it was announced that the NIL would be allowed to happen, and student athletes would be allowed to, brand themselves, what was Kendall's, thought process on it, as far as I know I have followed you, and I know football's just the catalyst for him, and you were talking about, being a bigger brand and him being a business major. So, just personally, for Kendall, what was his thought process with this whole thing?
For Kendall, every kid, right? Because at the end of the day, he's still a 19-year-old kid. So having the thought process of being able to make money is exciting, right? So obviously you go through those natural emotions, excited. But because Kendall is very farsighted, the way he thinks is beyond the moment. Like, okay, cool, I can make money, but let's figure out how we do it. How does this help me going forward? Should I align with everybody? Does it help or hurt me going forward, and exclusivity? So Ken was very strategic. And so a lot of the conversations we had was less about me guiding him, more as us talking it through, because he was already thinking these things. And he's going to school. He's in class right now. He's working out and so on and so forth. So his other thought process was, I need to create a team to help me through this. So assembling everybody that he could trust to get together and work.
That the big word you just used right there was trust. With this new NIL opportunity comes a lot more obstacles. For some kids who might not have proper guidance, or parents who might not be as involved as you may be. You have some of those people out there that might be trying to take advantage. When you sign a contract to promote a product, they might own you then. So I mean, just what kind of guidance did you give Kendall in that process, and what would you say to other parents who may be out there trying to get some brands or get some advertisement for their student athlete? What would you tell them is the best advice you could give them?
I think the first thing you have to do is find out who you are. Truly identify who you are, define yourself, and figure out what lane you want to occupy, what image you want to put out there of yourself. And that helps you narrow down which business ventures you get involved in. We've had to turn down some. We've had to, humbly say no, thank you. But there's also some that we've readily embraced. I think one of the biggest things is you mentioned a point about families maybe not knowing what to do or that sort of a thing, right? Every family doesn't have that business IQ, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but you know what I'm saying. So you have to be humble enough to be able to know how to throw the alley oop to somebody else who knows how to do that, first and foremost. Second thing is to make sure that you are running this as a business entity. Companies offering you $1,000 to represent their product, you have to understand that you are not technically making $1,000 off that. You have to take into account your taxes. You have to do all that type of stuff. This is a business, right? To the kids, I think that they need to understand now to truly be involved in this process, because it's about teaching life lessons as well. This is a great opportunity, almost risk-free. Think about it. What risk are the kids taking, right? This is a business risk-free. And think of the life lessons and business lessons that they're allowed to learn right now while they're still in college. And it's really taking advantage of those, because those pay dividends.
As a parent, I know who's been actively in social stuff, and stuff off and on the field. What do you think the NIL allows families to do? What kind of opportunities does this give families, as far as maybe some people who might not right now, coming from the best situations, are able to use their performance on the field or on their athletic performance, to make a little bit of money, to start their lives on the right path, after you graduate college.
So it's a gift and a curse. So you mentioned the families who, may not come from the best situations, and the success of the family going forward is contingent upon that athlete maybe going to the league, right? So yes, absolutely, it's great that they can make additional money while they're in college. Again, this goes back to what I said though. They have families, whether you come from anything or not, you have to understand that there's also responsibilities that you have as you are acquiring this revenue, right? You gotta have to know how to manage it, because either you're going to deal with it today when that check comes in, or you're going to deal with it next April when the IRS calls for theirs, right? So I think that's the curse. The gift is it allows incremental dollars to come in that maybe can take care of some bills at home, or maybe the kid doesn't have to call home now to get money for lunch or gas or whatever the case may be. Ideally, they're in a situation, though, where they can put that money up and maybe learn how to start investing now. Again, this is risk-free. This is money you weren't going to have anyway. So why spend it? Why use it if you didn't budget for this, right?
Yeah.
So when this money's coming in, pretend it's not even coming in, right? And just let it sit and let it work for you, and start learning these things and start truly creating wealth instead of in the moment gratification by being able to go buy a $500 belt or whatever the case may be to look good today, but don't have anything to show for it down the line, right? So that's the gift and the curse in this.
And you were talking about that, Chris. What advice did you give, Kendall, as far as, like you said, he might be having some money now come in, where if he wanted to, he could go buy that, $500 belt, or, a nicer things. What advice did you give him, about, kind of, balancing, being able to go buy something nice, but also, like you said, investing and kind of, make sure that, that money's there too, later on when he needs it.
So if I'm being completely honest, I didn't have to give him advice. Kendall's different. Kendall's frugal. As crazy as it sounds, if you see him on social media and he into fashion and all this other type of stuff, you don't understand that this dude is frugal. Mom and I would get, actually, we have a text message brand where all of us are on it, and it'll be random times, and he'll send a message and say, "Hey, you guys should go buy stock in this company because I think it's gonna hit." And I'm like, dude, where are you getting your info? Where are you getting your info? I can't catch it, right? So Kendall's thought process is a little different. He already thinks about those type of things. Like, this is a dude that sits with money in his bank account, but will text me and say, "Dad, can I have $20 for gas?" Bro, I know your bank account balance, right? So my money, I guess, spends differently than yours, right? So that's how he is. So we didn't necessarily have to have these conversations with him because he was already there.
That's great. That's great. I'd be remiss to, ask, just what was the thought process behind, the logo that, the KM2 brand has? I know I saw one of the shirts that says "Too Saucy." That was pretty cool. So, just what was the thought process behind that? And then also too, is there, some other stuff that maybe you could let us in on that's going to come next, or is that, kind of under the radar right now?
So with the logo, if you remember, probably about a year and a half ago, he launched another logo. Just how sometimes in life your personality changes or whatever. So he wanted a different logo, and the company Iconic Sports that we looked up with out of Tennessee, we kind of told them what we wanted, and they came back with this new logo, which I really liked. So that's how we adopted the new logo, the new branding. Yeah, he definitely has some stuff set up there. It's going to be a pretty big press release coming out either today or tomorrow. He'll be the first one in the country to have this partnership in this particular industry. So I can't let that cat out the bag. But the team is working, and when I say the team, it's not even us. It's the guys at Rate Sports Agency. They are working hard and diligent, creating opportunities. And it's some pretty exciting stuff that's coming out. But that Too Much Sauce, I like what I kind of did. That was pretty cool.
And finally, he's gonna be he's preparing right now. Summer workouts probably for his sophomore year at the University of Georgia. So he had a great freshman year. Was on the field a lot. What can we expect, or what's his mindset heading into his sophomore year here in the fall?
His sophomore year, he's anticipating his workload increasing. He's looking to be a more integral part of the offense. He's, last year with the coronavirus hitting, so they lost spring ball. He early injuries and then later in the season. So it was a very interesting year. But this year, he gets the opportunity to have the spring, the summer, the fall, and all of that type of stuff. So he'll be able to show he's on a 3-year track, though. He's going to do what he needs to do to be able to show. Last year, he was able to show with limited reps, this is what I can do up until the time he got hurt in Florida. He was top 3 in some cases. One, it was top yards after carry in the SEC for running backs. So he's shown what he can do this year. If the workload increases, there's some things that he wanted to work on to prepare him for his 3rd year, which, if God say the same, that'll be the year that he finishes college after year 3 and declares for the draft. So he's on a progression path, a true trajectory, and so far everything is working according to plan. Our whole thing, perfect situation, it would have been, of course, who wouldn't want to go into a school that needs a running back right now, where I can start and I can go get my touches and this and this and that. But when you look at it, a running back has so many carries in their whole career. From the beginning to end, they have so many carries that are already allotted to them, right? That God allows. More you take on the front end reduces how many you can take on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, his carries will come on the back end to where he can get a paycheck. We're waiting for it. That's when we'll be ready to see him go ahead and be the figurehead.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, just finally, where can people, if they're interested in purchasing some, Kendall Milton brand, where can they go? And then, where can they look for that stuff at right now?
So one of the easy way, if you follow him on Instagram, at the real K Milt, you'll be able to go on Instagram, look at his profile, you'll see his link tree. All the links to everything you need to find out about him is just click that on there. Click on the KM2 store. You'll be able to go to his store and find everything else. He's working with his supplier and designer. They're going to have some new stuff coming out. So every week, hopefully, until the season comes up, they'll have some new stuff added up to keep the momentum going. So it should be some pretty cool stuff.
Well, sounds good. I appreciate your time, Chris. It was great insight, coming from a parent with all this NIL stuff going on. So, where can people follow you? I know you're very active on Twitter and everything. People follow you. I'll also put the link to Kendall's store and your guys' Twitter and stuff in the description below so people can get to it easily. But, just any other thing you want to add, just about this whole process, or, just where can they follow you at?
The only thing I say about the whole process to tell people, do not be afraid to ask questions. Be humble enough to ask questions, to seek advice, and take the long route, play the long game to get to this. Because again, the ramifications could end up with your student athlete being ineligible because the NCAA is not providing a lot of guidance in this because it's taking money out of their pocket, right, by allowing the kids to make money. So just take that extra step with your student athletes. But if you want to reach out to me, you can hit me on Twitter, Father of Ballers, and I'd be more than happy to either answer questions or point you in the right direction. I have a lot of network really across the country that I've been blessed to acquire.
Well, Chris, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you joining me, and the insight was great. So we'll look forward to seeing Kendall rocking it on the field this fall, and definitely follow Mr. Chris Milton here on Twitter at Father Baller. So appreciate your time, Chris.
No worries, man. Good luck. All right. All right, thanks.